Shabbat Sholom, everyone. Good Shabbos. It's good to see you all. To celebrate Shabbat together. Rabbi Brown's not here tonight. She's at a close family friend bar mitzvah in Arizona. Is that right? I think it was Arizona. It's somewhere south of us. But Gabby is here, and it's her bat mitzvah weekend. And those who came for Gabby's bat mitzvah, show of hands. Wow. Look at this. There'd be like, barely a minion if you didn't show up. So we're so glad that you're here. You brought the beautiful weather. I don't know if my in-laws are in the room yet, but my in-laws are in town, and it was my son's graduation from King David yesterday. There's my father-in-law, Arthur. So it's nice to, this time of year, people come in for various things. And Kylan, I know I'm not supposed to acknowledge that you're a rabbi in the room, but Kylan's here, and Dougie's next to her, and that's nice. And Kylan was away for a while, so we missed you. And it's all great to be. So it's wonderful to be together as we begin with a nigun, which I love the title, Into the West. If the theme to Rawhide kind of comes up for you, that's what it does for me. So.
Goes like this. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Try that again. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Second part. Try with me. That's it. From the beginning. La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Page 142, we'll continue with Shalom Alechem, welcoming in the Sabbath angels. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem, Boachem leShalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni, Baruchuni leShalom, Malachei Shalom. Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeitzchem, Tzeitzchem leShalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, HaKadosh Baruch.
Again, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So last night was the King David High School graduation. Many of us have family who are having graduations of some shape or form at their university, elementary school, high school, or something else, I guess, this time of year. Graduation is not a particularly Jewish thing. In fact, in Judaism, we often say that you never graduate. If we think about bar bat mitzvah, it is a siyum, it's a culmination, but it's not the conclusion of anything. Graduation sort of denotes a conclusion of something, but learning in Judaism is an ever-flowing stream. It's an ongoing process. And that means that even for us here this evening, who are perhaps long past our days of graduations, we're not done. And we're still learning, and we're still evolving, and we're still discovering new meanings and new insights and hopefully new applications of Judaism in our life. And so we can celebrate those milestones like B'nai Mitzvah, those liminal moments. But we also recognize that they are just stepping stones along the way to a road and a path hopefully that never ends, and that we continue to learn and to grow, including tonight. And so even though maybe you've been to synagogue many, many times, or maybe you haven't been to synagogue since your own bar bat mitzvah, just like Gabby tonight, where she closes one door and opens another window, or a window opens and a door closes, or whatever the Yiddish phrase is, the process continues not only for you, but for all of us. And so as we invite her family to come forward to help lead us in the Shabbos candles and a reading, I want to invite you to recognize this as not the end or the beginning, but a continuing process of discovery and connection. So Amanda and Eric and Gabby and Zachary, if you'll come here like we practiced.
Right in the middle, where the
and over here,
microphone is.
over to the right. And the reading's right there in front.
Thank you so much. Zaki, you're going to start. At these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them. So may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
We were finally able to afford the trick candles. So, the new budget. Our people were in the desert for 40 years because it took them this long to light candles. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. So we're going to begin our Kabbalat Shabbat service. This is kind of an introduction to Shabbat, a time to transition from the rest of the week, everything that you've been doing and up to for the past few days, into the sacred time of Shabbat. We begin on page 130 with Psalm 95. And for many of you, these may be new melodies, or if you come here every week, you may know them already. But we encourage you to sing along in that spirit of learning. If it's new for you, give it a try. If the Hebrew is too hard, just go Yelalai. That works too. Lechun eranina l'Adonai. Surishenu nekadma fana betoda bizmirot nari alo yala lai 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 yala lai 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 yala lai lai yala lai 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 yala lai lai Shiru l'Adonai. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo. Basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Sapru v'goyim kevodo. Bechol ha'amim nifleotav ki gadol Adonai u'molal me'od norahu al kol Elohim ay nay nay lay 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 Page 133. Mizmor shir l'Adonai, shir chadash, ki miflaot asa, Hoshia lo yamino zroa kodsho dia, Adonai yeshuato, be'nei hagoyim gilatzim kato, zachar chasto ve'emunato, לבית ישראל ראו כל אפסי הארץ את ישועת אלוהינו הריעו אל אדוני כל הארץ יצחו ורננו ותאמרו יאללה לילה לילה יאללה לילה Top of the next page, Zamru l'Adonai. Sing praise to Adonai. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra. Zameru, zamru. So we're going to turn now to Lechadodi, page 138, which says, "Beloved, come meet the bride." The bride is Shabbat. And we imagine Shabbat as being that sacred partner marrying the people of Israel. That's our special day. And I do have to mention that today was my anniversary of 4 years. I know. COVID wedding. Sometimes people chant this piyut, this sacred poem, at weddings as well, because it is a love poem, though originally intended for Shabbat. So if you have someone here that you're with, that you love, or if you want to think about someone that you love, or if you just love Shabbat, we're going to join together. Verse 2. Likrat Shabbat lecho v'nelcha ki mekor haveracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshavat tchila ulecha dodi likrat kala nei Shabbat nekavela ulecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Verse 3. Mikdash melech ir melucha kumitei mitoch hafecha ralach shevet be'emek habacha vehu yachamol alayich chemla ulecha dodi likrat kala nei Shabbat nekavela ulecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'orech umri ori, uri uri, shir damerim, kevod Adonai alayich nigla, ulecha dodi likrat kala, nei Shabbat nekavela, ulecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Rise and face the entrance. Verse 9. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha u'betzola toch emunei am segula boi chala olecha dodi likrat kala nei Shabbat nekavela olecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela.
We'll remain standing. We'll turn to page 263 for Chatzi Kaddish, and as we do, we want to invite our bat mitzvah Gabby to join us on the bima to help lead the rest of our service, and as she does, it's almost impossible not to notice the shoes. So come on up, Gabby. We'll turn the pages up here. It's okay.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
אמן.
ועלמא דברי חילותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל. בגלה, בגלה, בזמן קריב ואמרו, אמן. יהי שמרה במברך, לעולם ולעלמי עמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלש מדקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו.
Amen. We'll remain standing for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated. Page 265, Ma'ariv Aravim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. Bechokma poteh sharim, uvitvuna meshanech itim, umachalif et hazmanim. Umsader et hakochavim b'mishrotachem barakia kertzono. Barei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei hoshech, v'hoshech mipnei or. Avir yom umevi layla, Umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El hai v'kayam, Talmidim lo chaleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv aravim.
Amen. 266.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Havta, Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, B'shochbeinu uvkumeinu, Nasiya pechukecha. V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam le'olam va'ed. Ki hem hayenu ve'orei yameinu nu v'hem nege yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavata al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai echad. Baruch Shem kavod ma'avoto le'olam va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha be'chol levacha u'be'chol nafshecha u'be'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha. Veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. Beshivtecha b'vitecha u'leftecha v'derech u'shokbecha u'vkumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha. Leman tiskeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'Elohehem. Ani Adonai Elohehem asher hotzeiti etchem mi'eretz Mitzrayim liot lahem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohehem.
Adonai Elohim. Amen.
We'll sing a song of redemption, Mi Chamocha, page 270.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar v'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele, malchotecha ra'u banecha, בוקע הים לפני משה ומרים, זה לינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד, ונאמר כי תפארת אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, Ga'al Yisrael. Find on page 271, Hashkivenu, a prayer for peace and protection, specifically for our evening prayer services. And this is a kind of camp tune. If you've done any camp, you might recognize it, by Dan Nichols. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Spread the shelter of your peace. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomreinu Save us for the sake. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. Shomreinu lechaim, lechaim.
For the past, I could say days, but really it's been weeks and maybe going on months, we have been doing spring cleaning. And today I was in the crawl space of our home looking for one particular thing, did not find it. Found all sorts of other things that I wasn't looking for but needed. And though not in the moment, because I was frustrated because I couldn't find the thing, but now standing here on the Bima and reflecting on Shabbat, sometimes that's what it is like on Shabbat as well. We enter in looking for something. We enter in with the intention of finding Shabbos rest, of coming into a synagogue and, I don't know, finding God, hearing God's voice. And then we find something else. And that something else might be, in fact, more valuable, more necessary, more meaningful to us than what we came here looking for. And so as we enter into this moment of our tefillah, as we come to the prayer of Vishamru, where we're reminded to guard and protect Shabbat, I invite all of us, myself included, to be a bit more open-minded. Not just to go looking for the thing that we came here for, the celebration of a bat mitzvah, the saying of Kaddish, of a Mishaberach, but to be open to what we find in the spaces in between, in the uncertainty, in that box that we look in, but it's not there, but something else is there that we need. May we find value in all of those things and the moments that lie ahead over this Shabbos together. Page 272, Vishamru.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. Yum ba da da da, Shabbat Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat Shabbat, yum ba da da da, Shabbat 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 Shalom. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת בי נפש, שבת בי נפש. ים ברי די די, שבת שבת, ים ברי די די די, שבת שבת, ים ברי די די די, Shabbat, 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 Shalom.
We'll rise. Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yagidi Hilatecha. Eternal God, help us find the words to speak with you in prayer. Page 273. We begin the Amidah.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Leah Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanara El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konhei Hakol V'Soher Hastei Avot V'Imahot Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Moshiach Umagen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Metim Atah Le'oshia Morid Hatal Mehakel Hayim Bechesed Mechayei Metim Berachamim Ramim Somech Noflim Verafeh Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha B'Gevurot Umidom Elach Melech Mimit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'chayot metim Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hametim.
אתה קדוש בשמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Well done, Gabby. We'll have you back for Kiddush in just a little bit. We're going to continue with Ritzei, page 279.
רצה אדוני אלוהינו ועמך ישראל ותפילתם באהבה תקבל ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל ישראל עמך אל קרוב לכל קרב פני אל עבדיך וחוננו שפוך רוחך עלינו ותחזינה עינינו בשובך לציון ברחמים. ברוך אתה, אדוני, המחזיר שכינתו לציון, לציון.
Page 280, a prayer of thanksgiving. Modim anachnu lach, she'atahu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu le'olam va'ed. Sur cheinu magen yeshuenu atahu lador vador. For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise. For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being.
ואל תיסך שבכל יום, ערב ובוקר וצהריים, מעולם קיווינו לך, מעולם קיווינו לך. הטוב כי לא חלו רחמך, והמרחם כי לא תמו חסדך. מעולם קיווינו לך, מעולם קיווינו לך.
A prayer for peace, Shalom Rav, page 282.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. כי אתה מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We turn to page 371 for Amisha Berach, a prayer for healing. At this time, we ask God's blessing of healing upon Denise Huguet, Eliezer ben Shmuel Vedorit, Paul Sprackman, Etan Paris, Sarah Gibson, Stanley Garfinkel, Maury Dozer, Sherry Fiedler, Lucy Tamayo, Frederick Farjado, Marina, Karen Bernstein, Esther Brower, Shannon Wall, Itamar Ben Ruth, Reuben Pinchas Ben Zara, Adele, Virginia Edwards, Nini Rostiker Shipman, Yeshayahu, Natalie Warmelli, Claire Columbia, Carla Zivit, Janet Gelb, David Shlomo Gorney, Andrea Jarsbiak. If there are others in need of this prayer of healing or for healing, if you could stand and call their names out one by one. We join with our cantor in this prayer for healing. Page 371.
Sheberach Avoteinu Bekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
May God bring them all healing speedily and in our day. Shabbat Shalom. Again, Mazel Tov, Gabby, on you're doing a great job tonight. We look forward to tomorrow, and to your whole family for being here. We're so glad to celebrate and excited to celebrate with you, and to everybody that's in from out of town for Gabby's bat mitzvah or for other reasons. Our family's in from out of town and friends as well. We're so glad to have you here in the synagogue and in our community. I do want to share a few announcements with you. They are on the handout. I won't read all of them. A reminder, however, that we have Torah study tomorrow morning at 8:30. I think it's actually here tomorrow and on Zoom. And then 10 o'clock services tomorrow morning. Sunday, religious school is done for the year. Yay. But there we continue to have our 2 o'clock rally downtown at the Art Gallery to free the hostages and to bring them home safely to their families soon. I believe there's also a march on Sunday as well across the bridges, but I don't have the details of what time that is. I think it's after the rally at 4 o'clock. No? It's 11:30. Thank you very much, Paya Mel. It's 11:30. Canby, Berard, and no? Canby's not going to happen. Paya and Mel, tell us what's happening at the march.
He sent the email to me, so let him tell.
You guys don't talk? You just do emails to each other?
We just want good participation
Right.
wherever we go.
Right. So it's the Burrard Street Bridge or the Granville Island Bridge, I believe.
Yes, and they're meeting somewhere around Drake and
Seymour. Meeting at Drake and Seymour. Bring your flags or come get flags. Marching at 11:30. The rally is still happening at 2 o'clock. Every Tuesday at 1 o'clock here at the synagogue is our Shalom Shishim Games afternoon. You can play canasta, mahjong, bridge, Scrabble. Come and enjoy. It's quite a scene that's going on there. Next Friday night, there is no service here in the sanctuary. We have Shabbat on the beach, as we do during the summer. And so that is at Spanish Banks. Bring your own picnic dinner, and there'll be a service that'll begin about 6:45, but you can come at any time you want beforehand. Bring chairs and blankets. Bring maybe a dessert to share with others. Spanish Banks, the westernmost. We're not going to put up our Temple Shalom banner for obvious reasons this time, but you'll find us. We're the group of Jews under the tree. Our men's circle continues. They had a great session last Tuesday. The next meeting is on June 18th. That's at 7 o'clock. Our next generation group, that's our 20s and 30s group, has schwitzing at Turf. Which is kind of what it sounds like. I guess it's Pilates and then vegan treats and kombucha on tap. And wellness shots to boot. I am so glad I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. Our sisterhood has their closing tea at the end of the month. Our Shalom Shishim has a musical theater, classics of the 20th century. That's also at the end of the month. A mazel tov again to Gabby on her bat mitzvah. And we thank the family for sponsoring our own egg later tonight. Well,
I have one more announcement.
Oh, and Cantor Cohen, who is celebrating her anniversary with Kylan, has an announcement.
Hello, everyone. If anyone is interested, there's a free concert of some opera music that's going to be happening on Sunday, June 23rd. I'm going to be singing in it. It's just a few blocks down the street at Oak Park by the Marple Center, whatever. So ask me for more details, but just wanted to invite everyone because I'm excited about it. That's it.
The 23rd.
The
Dave,
23rd, yes.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Cohen. So a couple of old bubbies were sitting on a patio speaking to each other about their grandchildren. I send gifts, greeting cards, and checks to my grandchildren, complains one of them, and still they barely visit me, if ever. The second old lady says, I too send cards and checks to my grandchildren, and they visit me all the time for birthdays and graduations. I send them, and they always come. So the first bubby says, you're so fortunate. Your children must love you so much more than I do. You have such grateful grandchildren, more grateful than my own, said the first. The second bubby says, no, my grandchildren are just about as grateful as yours are. So what is it, the first bubby says, that you do to get your grandchildren to visit all of the time? Are your checks bigger than mine? Asked the first one, surprised. The second one says, no, my checks are no bigger than yours. I just forget to sign them all the time. I think that's joke like 37 in the Jewish joke book. I've been buying a lot of greeting cards lately. And as I think about it, I've also been signing a lot of checks. Between Mother's Day, graduations, Judah's was yesterday's, Esty is next week, from Tyee Montessori, Judah from King David High School. Levi's still 2 years to go, but he's getting there. And Father's Day, of course, which is coming up, not to be forgotten, next Sunday, next weekend. By the way, if anyone in my family is paying attention, I need a larger Instapot, the 8-quart model, the 1 in 7 would be nice. I've been buying a lot of cards, writing a lot of checks. The other day, I found myself at Shoppers pondering an entire aisle on both sides filled with greeting cards, spread out before me. Trying to find that perfect card started me to think about what makes a perfect card. What are the requirements for a card to be fitting to the moment and the person or the people that you are gifting it to? First, I noticed that there were cards for just about everyone and everything. Now, I know that with a lens of empathy, we tend to focus on the pain caused by others, to others, by exclusion. What is missing when we look at those rows of cards? What's not there? Whose relationship is not being honored? Whose religion does not get even a card if let top billing or holiday get acknowledged? Whose identity is not worth a printed card or whose is decided by some corporate entity? We acknowledge the pain of universalism versus particularism. And still, the greeting card aisle is also an inspiring commentary on how far we have come as an inclusive society. Because when I talk about growing up in the 80s, you didn't have cards for everything that we have today. There are cards for so many identities and so many relationships that less than a decade ago we hid, or we denied, or we shunned from the public conversation. And while it's not perfect, we have made leaps and bounds of progress. I was inspired and filled with hope, but I was also overwhelmed by so many choices. As I think I've shared before, my father was a clothing salesman, owned a clothing store chain, a small clothing store chain that actually sold small clothing. He owned a clothing store chain for short men. Yes, a Jew in the schmata business, I know. Among the many lessons that I learned from my dad, continue to learn from my dad, was to avoid overloading the customer with too many choices. He taught me, my children could repeat this, my wife could too. What is it? Never show a man more than 2 pairs of pants at one time. A person can pick between navy blue and charcoal gray, but if you add in black or medium gray to that mix, it becomes overwhelming and impossible. Now, I find the same to be true with greeting cards. Though usually, given the relative cost of men's dress pants versus those of greeting cards, I often just buy more cards because I can't choose. Had people done that with the dress pants, my dad might still be in business. So I buy them and I either save them for next year though I forget that I bought them and have a stack of unused cards somewhere. By the way, that was one of the things I did find under the house this morning. So I was looking, was the stack of unused cards. Maybe I'll open up a card store one day. If I can't decide, I just give the person more than one card. Here's the funny one, and here's the serious one, right? Here's the one that's going to end up on the refrigerator. Here's the one, don't show the children. Here's the poem that's going to make you cry. Here's the card that's going to make you laugh. I doubt I'm alone in this practice. Greeting cards are like that. Greeting cards are like that. There are so many of them, but seldom do they say exactly what I want them to convey. Or they're so generic in their application that it sounds actually kind of meaningless. I picked a card that said, "To the best son in the whole world, congratulations on your graduation." I found something similar in May addressed to the best moms for Mother's Day. And I was tempted to buy a few of those for Father's Day that said, "Given to the best dad in the whole world," and then give them to my children to give to me. But imagine if these moms and dads or graduates from different families ever got together and shared cards. No, mine says I'm the best. No, mine says I'm the best. It could turn ugly fast. But more likely, we would fall into a trap that our rabbinic sages warn us about: the sin of overpraising. In the Talmud, Hillel and Shammai, you remember them from Seder not long ago, if you've gotten over your matzah hangover? Hillel and Shammai have a disagreement. They disagree all the time over how to honor a bride at a wedding. Hillel says you should say, "Look how lovely she is. Look how charming she is." And Shammai says, "It depends. If she is lovely, you say so. If she's not lovely, then you don't say so. Because if you do, you will lose your credibility and you will not be believed." Shammai was a blast at parties. But he goes on, and I think he makes an important point. I know he does. Shammai says, "Find one quality that she has that is special to her, and sing about that quality. And be honest," says Shammai, "because if you exaggerate, if you praise the bride to the skies, you will not be believed, not even by the bride." And so I believe that Shammai would say the same thing about cards for Mother's Day or Father's Day or graduation. He would say, praise, but don't exaggerate. Praise, but be specific. Instead of saying, "You're the best mother in the whole world," Shammai would say, "Thank you for getting me through school this last year, Mom." Or instead of saying, "You're the world's best father," say, "Thank you for driving me to school every day." To your graduate, don't simply say, "I'm proud of you, you did it." Enumerate what you are proud of them for. Not everything they did was great. You don't need to mention those things unless they have overcome them. But many things they did got them across that stage with a diploma in hand. Even the failings from which they learned and grew, mention those. The blank space in the card is there specifically for those heartfelt, honest, tailored, specific messages that come from you, not Hallmark. Shammai would say, praise people on their simchas, but do so accurately, so that you will be believed and that they will believe you. Another lesson about greeting cards comes from actually this week's Parsha, the Parsha that Gabby's going to read tomorrow morning. And it's actually probably a much better answer to my pile of unused cards than the one day to serve as an inventory in my card shop. Give cards to people who helped the person achieve what you are writing to celebrate. It's always bothered me that we give birthday cards to the birthday child, but never to the parents, particularly to the mom, who, at least on that specific day, probably worked harder and had more of an accomplishment than anybody else. In the Parsha Bamidbar that Gabby's going to read tomorrow, there appears a very strange verse. The Torah says at the beginning of chapter 3, "These are the children of Moses and Aaron." And then it goes on to list the children of Aaron. These are the children of Moses and Aaron, but then it lists Aaron's kids. Whose children were they? Were they the children of Aaron or the children of Moses? Rashi, the great Torah commentator, explains it this way. He says, Aaron was their biological father. He brought them into the world. But Moses was their spiritual father. He was the one who taught them Torah, who taught them values, who taught them character. And therefore, both of them, Aaron and Moses, are listed as co-parents of Aaron's children. Our children, not just mine, but yours, have many parents. They have teachers and coaches and aunts and uncles and grandparents, many, if not all, deserving of recognition and respect and gratitude on graduation day and every day. Yes, our children should write thank you cards, and call me old school, but they should be cards, not emails. And a phone call is even better. But so can we, the parents of the graduate. Moses was just as worthy as receiving recognition and respect and gratitude from the children whom he and Aaron co-parented, as was Aaron. And by the way, this is true of all devoted teachers. I am sure that many of you can think of one teacher who took an interest in you, who cared about you, who guided you, who inspired you, who helped you to become the mensch that you are today. Surely these teachers deserve recognition and some reverence from us, just as our physical parents do as well. At least that's what I think Rashi would say standing in the Hallmark aisle at Shoppers Drugs. The last lesson, by the way, Rashi at Shoppers Drugs would just be awesome. The last lesson I learned wasn't from the greeting card aisle, but actually from a box that I keep in my office. In that box are all the cards and notes that people have sent me over nearly a quarter century as a rabbi. I have a file folder on my computer with emails and scans of others as well. I call that folder Cherished Notes. Not particularly creative. And on difficult days, days when I have disappointed you or myself, and usually it's an and you and myself, not an or, I dig into the box and I read a few notes and cards. While it is true no one moment defines us as a person in life, this box is a collection of moments worth remembering, moments that matter so much to someone that they wrote a thoughtful note about it to you. Don't wait for birthdays or graduation or Hallmark holidays to lift your spirits and be reminded of how much you do and how much you matter to and for others. The value of the card is not only in the moment that you receive it, it's in the lasting memory that it creates. So revisit it. It's okay to live a bit in the past if it helps you appreciate the present and dream for a future. So 3 lessons from that aisle at Shoppers. Be honest and specific in your praise. Acknowledge all the people that got you or your loved one to the moment that you are celebrating. And save the cards and read them over and over again to remember who you are to others when you forget who you are to yourself. And to my family, who I love and adore, it's the 8-quart Instapot with 7-in-1 feature combo. It's in the Amazon cart. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to now turn to the counting of the Omer.
So on the back of your program, you'll find the words for our Nigun, our introduction to Sfirat HaOmer. And the blessing itself is on page 570. And this is the last Shabbat of Counting the Omer for the year.
What am I going to do without this tune, Cantor Cohen? It's an earworm.
Find a new tune.
Totally with me all the time.
L'Hashem yichud, b'chusha u'shlinte, hineni mo תהיינה 7 שבתות תמימות תהיינה יאללה לילה יאללה לילה יאללה לילה לילה יאללה לילה יאללה לילה יאללה לילה לילה Baruch atah Adonai, onto the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu, b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, asvirat haomer, asvirat haomer, asvirat haomer, asvirat haomer. Hayom shisha ve'arba'im yom, shehem shisha shavuot, ve'arba' yamim ba'omer. Yayla layla, yayla layla, yayla layla layla, yayla layla, yayla layla, yayla layla layla. Today is 46 days, which is 6 weeks and 4 days of the Omer.
Page 586 will rise for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גאולה ליוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בהשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. As has become our minhag, our custom for the last year or so, we, at the end of Shloshim, invite a family member of the deceased to come forward to share memories of their loved one, to just briefly draw a lesson from their life as they end this particular period of saying Kaddish and mourning. And so I want to invite Dana Schuster to come forward now to say a few words about her mom, Cheryl Wasserman, of blessed memory. If you need me to, I'll do it for you. Okay.
Actually, can you hear me?
Let me just give you this one.
Okay.
Watch your toes.
Nice. Ooh.
1 second.
Okay. Thanks. That's better. Thank you. So I'm Dr. Dana Schuster, and I'm going to talk about my mother, Cheryl Wasserman. I didn't know how to write about her in a few paragraphs, and I would think for any of us it would be hard to sum up a person's life in a few paragraphs, but I'm going to give it a shot here. After a challenging childhood, she sought to live with her grandmother on the beaches of Belmar, New Jersey. Just to give you some context, she was born in 1944, so she grew up in the 50s. And it is in Belmar where she succeeded academically in college, and when she would meet my father at the pharmacy where he was working as a pharmacist, and she had a summer job tidying up. Apparently, as the story goes, he looked at her and told his buddies, "Do you see her? I'm going to marry her." And after a first date at the 1964 World's Fair, they were attached at the proverbial hip for 60 years. They had 2 children, my brother and me. They had their prospective busy careers. My father worked as a pulmonary pharmacologist. My mother had many careers. I won't go through them because I'll become tired. Essentially, her life was totally consumed by her teaching career, and it was completely time-consuming. And we had a game of who could hide her books at 2 a.m. They then moved to Southern California, where she became involved in volunteer work, winning Volunteer of the Year over and over. For all of her activities and academics, she was an available and loving parent. She was sweet and acerbic. She was kind with an always ready zinger, and you had to be ready for him. Of all the places they lived, as they moved a lot because of my father's career, she ensconced herself in every community as a social center. People were simply drawn to her. It was, and it is truly aspirational. As they moved into their retirement home, nothing changed. When she began to exhibit symptoms of dementia, people continued to reach out to her. I still reach out to her, and I feel her warm hugs as I speak up here. I can hear her words of guidance and advice, and I can smell the not-so-great food she cooked. She admitted this. I could not love her more then, and if possible, I could not love her more even now. And I know now, this is where I break up, I know that she permeates every quark in the known universe, and I'd like to feel her with me. Actually, I do, and she is in fact with me. And wherever she is, I hope you enjoyed this, and no zingers if I didn't.
And may your mother's memory always be for a blessing. Thank you for sharing that with us. On this Shabbat, we recall those who died during this past week, whose families are in the midst of Shiva and Shloshim. As I read the name of your loved one, if you could please rise and remain standing here or at home so that we can comfort you in our midst. Michael Livney, Esther Rubin, Agnes Sabenzi, Cheryl Wasserman. And those for whom the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the death of your loved one, falls on this Shabbat, if you too could rise and remain standing as I read their name. Sam Aaron, Irving Brown, Rivka Brugny, Jack Chernin, Florence Cowling, Perry Sheldon Davids, Egon Eisenberg, Moshe Marvin Langman Elson, Susan Everall, Harry Gettiger, Sarah Leah Gordon, Don Hendon, Harold Henry, Batya Carton, Dr. Morris Corman, Bess Lachtman, Jerry Lampert, past president of our congregation, Marilyn Leonard, Dr. Albert Lepowski, Shirley Levine, Herbert Lewis, Murray Mendelson, Morton Michelson, Shirley Nerman, Hannah Ann Radman, Arthur Rose, Vera Rosen, David Rubenstein, Doreen Rind, Elmer Sally, Fred Sango, Milton Schulman, Esther Schulman, Leah Silverman, Joseph Sinclair, Sharon Singer, Rose Slobin, Dr. Avram Chaim Sudak, Eric Sterin, Oscar Strumminger, Faye Tenenhaus, Bluma Tischler, Robert Vogel, Benny Warhaft, Alan Wilder, Elizabeth Victoria Zacharias, David Zivit. If there are others who come to say Kaddish, names that I have missed or mispronounced, or if you've come to say Kaddish for any other reason, if you could rise and call them out one by one as well. Looking around the congregation, seeing those that have stood in mourning, we don't want them to stand alone, so we'll stand now by their side, providing the comfort of our presence as we turn to Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish, page 598. We invite those who wish to join the mourners in this sanctification of the divine name. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yamad yivrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'hayeh l'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei omaya, yit barach v'yish tabach v'yit ba'ar v'yit roman v'yit naseh, v'yit adar v'yit aleh v'yit alal Shemei d'kudesha b'richu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, damiron v'oma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei Shalom imromav, huya asei Shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort the bereaved among us, and we say together, Amen. We remain standing for just a moment. We want to invite Ilana's doing it. Okay, we want to invite Ilana to come up and lead us in Kiddush and Motzi. And Adam. Ilana and Adam. Sorry,
Yes.
just said Ilana and then, oh, there I see it. Okay. Ilana and Adam, if you'd come on up over here with Cantor Cohen to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi.
I have a one-pager, or if you prefer that, it's all good. You can put your siddur down if you want to put your siddur here.
Sure.
Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra kodesh. Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta v'tanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shavat kodshecha ve'ahava v'ratzon hinchaltanu.
Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
L'chaim.
Chaim.
Have a sip. And then if you'll uncover the challah, look, it's a challah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Amen.
You can take a piece of challah and maybe share it with Gabby and her family.
Lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, lai, la, la, lai. Yai, lai, lai, la, la, lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, la, la, lai. Yai, lai, lai, la, la, lai. Yai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai,
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.